6 years, 2 countries, 3 languages, and 1 completely different version of myself. Hello, welcome to Coffee with Minnie. My name is Minnie, and I spent my 20s working in Singapore, Hong Kong, and had a brief stint in Boston, Kenya, and Cote d'Ivoire. Lots of people are intrigued by my career and asked me if it was all worth it. And honestly, a 30-second version would completely undersell it, so today I am going to break it down for you. In today's video, I am going to break down the 6 reasons why I think everyone should work internationally in their 20s. Truthfully, working internationally in my 20s completely changed the way I think, the way I lead, the way I show up to work, what I spend money on, and how I value life. And if you are also an ambitious, aspirational, curious, and adventurous, high-performing operator who are thinking what you can do with your career in your 20s, this video is for you. And I guarantee you, the reasons that you will hear in this video are nothing like what others have told you before. Now a little bit about me. I started my career at Bloomberg, one of the world's largest financial news and data companies, actually in Singapore. I was a trilingual specialist for technical and customer support. What that really means is to just be screamed at by hedge fund managers at 7 a.m. in 3 different languages. How exciting. But then over the next 6 years, I had 2 internal secondments that I kind of created for myself, got to work on cool international conferences, and eventually moved to Hong Kong and started leading a sales team with a $10 million revenue book. I was the youngest person on the entire team to become a people manager at the age of 26, carried a target that seemed absolutely impossible at the time, and hired and retained a whole team throughout COVID. And I truly believe that none of those would have happened to me if I stayed in New York for that first stage of my career. So let's get into it. Reason number 1, skill arbitrage. You may have skills that are completely undervalued in your home market, but are truly rare and in demand somewhere else. And the gap between those 2 markets are your opportunity. The very basic example is language. If you are bilingual, trilingual, polyglot, or just a bicultural English speaker, you will stand out immediately in non-English speaking countries. And it works in reverse too. Say if you're from a small town or you think you have limited English language ability, you can still arbitrage what I call an HQ or headquarters advantage. You do that by working for a local company that has some level of global presence, and you position yourself as a homegrown talent who can speak the language of the headquarters. Aha! That is a career that is very difficult to build at your desk. If you're an American and don't speak any second languages, and I say this with love because lots of my friends actually do fall into this bracket, listen, let me remind you that you are still sitting on a brand that is very much highly valued in the private sector around the world. Your home base is still a country that has the world's most advanced AI technologies, ecosystem, medicine, biotech, best universities in the world, most competitive tech corporations, most advanced and rigorous business training. That reputation alone might not get you a job, but it will definitely make you stand out in the candidate pool. The world is full of skill gaps, and the smart operators who can find those gaps are the ones who would advance the most. And reason number 2, leadership flexibility and career advancement. Here's a pattern that I've watched play out across decades of corporate careers. The leaders who rise the fastest and have the most impact are never the ones who stayed in one office, managed one kind of team, and worked off of the same playbook all their career. They're the ones who got very uncomfortable. They throw themselves into managing different types of teams, across cultures, across time zones, across languages. They really learned how to lead people who don't operate, don't think, and don't act the same ways that they do. In my career, I've worked with leaders who are senior managers for 10 and 15 and 20 years, and many of them have moved many countries and offices throughout their career. Some are asked for, some are given. But one thing that I would definitely agree on and tell you is that without those experiences, they would not have gotten where they are today. And that is the power of their leadership range. Don't underestimate the importance of these little cultural moments or learnings, because at the end of the day, leadership is all about people. You've got to be flexible and learn how to adapt your styles to different people in communications and to really bring out the best of your teams. Just to give you one simple example that I learned working in Asia and North America. When you're working with or leading an American team, you always prioritize credibility, substance, and opinion. But in East Asia, especially in Japan and China, you've got to be patient and give people a moment to think before you ask them to share their true opinions and insights. You've got to get comfortable with the silences. Guess what? Being a good manager, a good leader, help you rise faster in your career, and generally that also means better financial rewards. And now the perfect segue into the 3rd reason, financial advantages. See, here's something that a lot of people don't know. Some of the world's most competitive business hubs are actually also the most tax-efficient places to live. I was not financially strategic at all when I decided to move to Singapore for my first role. I was just really curious, I was excited to explore Southeast Asia, and I thought it was a great career opportunity with a great company. But then I look back at what those years did to my net worth, I was absolutely stunned. Just to give you some examples of metropolitan hubs that have very, very attractive personal income and business tax rates, Hong Kong, Singapore, Dubai are top of mind. If you just look at this chart, in Hong Kong, the income tax is capped at 17% and no capital gains tax, which means you can trade, you can make money off of the stock market, you will not be taxed. And 17%. Did anyone just pay their 45% taxes here in America? Similarly, in Singapore, the top rate can reach as high as 24%, but the effective rates for most earners are significantly lower. Similarly, no capital gain taxes. And if you look at Dubai in UAE, which is even better, 0% income taxes. Yes, that's like moving to Florida. And yes, if you're American, you could just move to Florida, it'll be the same tax rate. But hey, in order to see the full picture, you also have to look at the salary range as well as cost of living in those places. If you're in your 20s, the salary range in those places can be as attractive as some of the big tech or finance jobs here in the US. And depending on the industry, you can pick a place that speaks to your ambition. Of course, I'm very aware for American citizens, you do have to pay American taxes no matter where you live, but just keep in mind that the cost of living in some of these places and the accessibility to a lot of the lifestyle options can be significantly better. And for me, I genuinely don't think I could have funded my MIT Sloan MBA if I weren't doing my career the way I did it. And the crazy thing is, I wasn't even trying to save. I was living well, I took international trips, I had hobbies, I went to nice restaurants, and for some others, occasional luxury splurge here and there. This sounds crazy, but in hindsight, I really looked at the price tag of things. And I know for sure I was not the only one. The combination of low tax rate and high expat packages meant that my savings rate was significantly higher than what I could have gotten in New York at the same career stage. And in my investments, 30% return with no taxes. In your 20s, you'll want to work hard, you'll want to build your career, but you'll also want to explore the world and understand yourself better. And if there's a way for you to do all of those things while growing your long-term wealth, I think it's worth a shot. And the fourth reason, freedom with lower risks. 20s are the single lowest risk period of your time where you can make big, bold career moves. For a lot of people, you have no kids, no mortgage, no partner's career you have to take an account into, no sick parents at home, and you can truly focus on optimizing you. And of course, I totally caveat that everyone is different and everyone has different challenges and circumstances in life, so not everyone can choose so freely even in your 20s. But relative to your later stage responsibilities and adulthood, I guarantee you that this is probably still the best decade to take those risks. And that really means you really should make career decisions purely for you. Think about what excites you, what goals you have, just experiment all the different types of careers out there. And guess what? If it doesn't work out, you're 27, 28, 29, you have so much time and you can just reset. Do you have options other than working internationally? Absolutely. I have tons of respect for the digital nomads or the backpackers or young people who are taking gap years to discover themselves through the jungles of Bali, Indonesia, or hiking through South America. Love that for you. But your girl right here, I am too financially risk adverse. I do like to have income. I like to build out my retirement savings account. I like to have insurance coverages. And honestly, I loved traveling for businesses on business class and staying in 5-star hotels. And this whole golden handcuff thing is for another episode. But do they allow you to explore the world and understand yourself better? Absolutely. Number 5, life hacks and new skills. This one's hard to quantify and it's not exactly career related, but I would say it might be something that I value the most. That could be learning to cook a new cuisine, picking up a new hobby, a new sport, speaking a new language, or even starting a business. It's truly incredible that I learned how to cook Thai food from a local friend's family recipe and not just a YouTube tutorial. I picked up Cantonese in Hong Kong because that made connecting with local people so much easier. And trust me, they're so much nicer to you. And I started wake surfing and once had a lesson with an Olympic winning coach, completely by accident. Because what? Hong Kong has so many accessible beaches and beach sports, unlike the impression that a lot of people have of the city. And of course, because of its proximity to the Chinese market, I used all the mega consumer apps from WeChat to RedNote to Didi to Taobao. In case you haven't used or don't know what those apps are, these are truly only some of the mega powerful, remarkable tech products that power the entire Chinese consumer economy. None of these things really show up in my resume, but they absolutely change the way I see people, I see products, I see businesses, and the way I approach and solve problems. I really could not have engineered that frame of mind in any other way. But I will say, while these skills and hobbies and experiences don't really grow my bank account, at least not in the short and the medium terms, I think they'll be what helps me survive an apocalypse when climate change finally hits us all. And the final reason, people network. This one is a bit of a hot take, and I know some of you will jump in to disagree, because moving abroad or moving internationally feels like you're leaving your entire network behind. Here, I'll respectfully disagree by saying that all of your homegrown network, whether that's your college friends, your early career colleagues, or people that you could potentially meet in industry, you still have decades in your life to build them and rebuild them in the rest of your career. Working internationally for a few years isn't gonna hurt. And on the flip side, the friendships, mentorships, and professional connections that you build in your 20s while working internationally are very unique, and you just can't have them so easily later in your life. And these connections are what's going to expand your perspective exponentially. And back to my earlier point, it actually does you make a much, much better leader in any remotely global organization. As Anais Nin said, we don't see things as they are, we see them as we are. And just imagine having contacts all over the world who not only give you perspectives, but also news, information, and things that will benefit you long-term in your life. And that's not just where do I go for the hottest, latest restaurants, but it could be anything from making your next investment or even starting a local company. And in this day and age, content is power and authentic information is power. Now to wrap it up, 6 years working in Singapore, Hong Kong, plus my little stints in other parts of the world later in my 20s, they really gave me financial stability, leadership range, a global network, and a set of new skills that I never imagined I would have. And most importantly, they allow me to have a completely different relationship to the world and to myself in my 20s. And of course, this isn't going to be for everyone. It takes courage, it takes some trade-offs and sacrifices, and it takes real intention to make it work. But if you're in your 20s, you're ambitious, you're curious, but you want to have a career that really gives you an edge, working internationally might be the highest leverage option for you right now. So comment below, have you worked internationally? Where have you lived? What are the best things and worst things that you've experienced? I want to know. And that'll be it for today. I'll see you next time. Bye.